All right, that was Ikhono with an amazing song called Jericho, of course, chosen by my guest, Sorisha
Hello.
Naidoo.
Yebo.
Wagwaredi. Welcome to Thriving in Abundance. Talking Kamalami Zodwa Msimang KaNsibande. And of course, we are in Women's Month in South Africa, Azania, where we are celebrating our beautiful ladies. Today, I am joined by the beautiful, gorgeous, ever so gracious and graceful Sorisha. Yeah. drum roll. How's it, babes?
I'm good. You know, every time I want to say Zanele.
Yeah.
And then Viv corrects me and says Zodwa.
That's me. Mina nawe. Siyayazi indaba kaZanele.
So I said, no, it's also Zanele.
Yes.
So he's like, oh, okay, just do yours.
How's it?
Good. Nice to be here.
So good to have you.
Finally, good to be here. Okay, finally.
You know, when they say about timing, I had to wait and allow for the right moment. And this is the right moment. All right, as it is our tradition at Thriving in Abundance Talk, we start with a prayer. Oh. Father, in the mighty name of Jesus, we welcome you, Holy Spirit, in this place. We are here to celebrate and honor this young lady that you have blessed so much. The beauty that we see is not just only outside, but it's also internal. When we do this, we emit in the airwaves this positive spirit that she brings with her where she goes. So as we begin this conversation this afternoon, we just say all is well with her, all is well with her family, and all is well with the communities around KZN where she comes from, and all is well with our beautiful country, South Africa, Azania, and all is well for women in our country. And we just say you are welcome in this place. Amen.
Amen. That was beautiful. Thank you.
All right, so the whole idea, as I told you, behind the Woman Thrive series is just to get to know the lady behind the name.
That's why I'm
the
here.
Real Housewife.
Oh, no.
Who is the real behind the scenes person. So where did you grow up?
I grew up in a place called Shallcross.
Okay.
It nestled just outside Chatsworth. Mm-hmm. So that was my hometown forever. And I went to school there and then slowly crept out of the neighborhood, went to a different school, but still lived in Shallcross. So Shallcross is my place, my home. My parents' home is still there, and our family businesses are still in Shallcross. So we're still back and forth. So we're still heavily entrenched in the neighborhood.
Do you have siblings?
I have a sister, younger, who acts older, and she is a nephrologist.
Okay.
Yes.
Just say that slowly.
Dr. Naidoo is a nephrologist based in Cape Town, has two beautiful twin boys. They're 3 years old. Love them. Yeah, 2 brothers, both elder than my sister and I, but also they're late, so they both passed on. So they are now my guides.
Just for the benefit of my viewers out there, what is a nephrologist?
So yes, I also asked her that when she said, I'm going to specialize in nephrology. Yeah. So it is her specialty is kidneys. So she'll be able to tell you every single thing that's happening and why it's happening with your kidney. So a kidney specialist per se.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. All right. So you went to school in the Shallcross area and then eventually outside the Shallcross area. And where did you go to tertiary?
So firstly, I went to a convent. That was my late primary school years.
Okay.
Secondary years was in Holy Family Convent.
Okay.
So that for me was an experience. I think that's where the breeding ground for drama and all of that started. It was a very theatrical school, and it had a nice balance. I feel like that's where I decided, I want to try these things. And then straight from there, I went to India. I took a sabbatical because my brother had passed away in my matric year. So he was shot in an armed robbery in our business. So my mom and dad thought, do you want to go and maybe study overseas, take a, just take some time off? And I was very angry, obviously, at the time. So a lot of pain, a lot of resentment. So I went to India and I studied pre-med. And I hated it with passion. So eventually when I came home for the break, I said to my parents, this is not for me. And, because like your parents want the best for you. And they, at that time, it's like, hence my sister's a specialty doctor. You could only make money if you were a doctor or a lawyer. So I was like, very honest, and I said my first love would be to study journalism. So my mom was like, and my dad were like, how are you going to make any money from journalism?
All about money.
It's like, how are you going to sustain yourself? I think that was the conscious thought of parents back then.
Yes.
And I said, no, I'm going to do it. I have plans. And and then they were like, okay, great. And then that's how I made my way to Rhodes University. And I managed to use my my credits that I had from India to get into Rhodes for that break year. So I used that, and that was my road. And that was the best journey. My tertiary education at Rhodes University, like it opened me up to all the loves of my life. Radio, television, print. Everything. So,
Tell us about those years. The tertiary years are always very exciting. So I want to know what happens in that small town of where Rhodes is located.
I don't know if it's true now, but back then we had the highest per capita of student to drink ratio. In South Africa. So currently Rhodians drank a lot. So obviously this didn't.
It's a small town. There's not a lot to do.
There wasn't a lot to do.
But we are not encouraging that.
Yes. But I didn't drink. I was not a drinker. So I was not involved in that per capita ratio. But we took a lot of trips to East London and to PE because those were an hour and 45 minutes away sometimes. So we had horses on the beach that we could ride. So we did those things. We tried to look out. I got my first ever pug at university.
Oh, wow.
I don't know what I was thinking because that was a mission.
Because I can imagine. Because they are like basically they are babies.
Yes, and it would cry and cry. And then eventually when I drove home for the holidays, I left my pug with my parents. I'm like, I'll see it in the holidays. But that's when the bug bit, back then for pugs. And my parents also bought me a pug when I was a little girl. So I think I've just always had an attachment and affinity to them. But tertiary university was where I found myself. Obviously, my formative finding myself was that year in India. My mom gave me some money. And I don't know, if you even remember this, but it was a book. And they had an opening balance of rupees.
Oh yeah.
And then every time you drew it, they would stamp it, and that was my statement. That was the book. So I ran out of money, I know, 6 months into the year.
Okay.
So I was so afraid to call home. So I started to wait tables, and I started DJing in India.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that's how that started. Yeah, so when I came back to Rhodes, I exactly knew where I was going. So that was the table was laid.
Yeah.
I started in India and it just kind of rolled over. And then I started on the weekends at Rhodes. I would also make money DJing at one of 2 clubs at Rhodes.
I was just going to ask about that. But so DJ, sorry.
No. So started DJing there and loved journalism, loved the campus, loved the tight community of friends. It was beautiful. And I was the first student to start a fashion event. Oh. So I called it the Rhodes Music Radio Fashion Designer of the Year. Okay. So we got all the students to design outfits and then bring it to life, and then we'd have a huge fashion show. So I just made it creative money there. But it was incredible. Yeah. So I ran that for 3 years while I was there.
Oh, really?
And I don't know if they still do it.
All right. But when you do those kind of things, okay, I know in other spaces or in other tertiary spaces, sometimes, this SRC office would try and assist with fundraising for such. Yes. Where did you get the funds?
We raised it.
Ah.
So what we did was we asked each designer to
Okay.
submit a copy and 200 Rand with their, which was a lot of money back then, because 200 Rand was like 3 pizzas or 4 pizzas.
I can imagine back
So
then.
you're going to eat those pizzas now. You're giving away your money. So we tried to, and then we asked the university to give us subsidize the rest.
All right.
So we did half and half deal.
Ah,
It was
okay.
it was a bit of a struggle because
Yeah.
they're like, what are you trying to do here? So but we weren't a part of an organization or you know. And then because I was a DJ on Rhodes Music Radio,
Yes.
they also assisted in making sure
Okay.
like I got the support to
Yeah.
call for entries and yeah.
Okay.
So it was one of my first events. You're taking me
So-
way back.
That's when your entrepreneurial journey also started.
And we made a profit. It wasn't huge, but
Yeah.
we didn't break even. We made a profit.
Oh
which
wow,
is
that's
incredible.
amazing. Because
Yeah.
I think you start obviously having an idea during those early years that actually I can do this. I can do
yes,
this.
yeah.
All right, then you finish your degree, then Wafa?
Came back to Durban,
Yeah.
and I was trying to get into a radio station.
Yes.
And Zanele, I don't have to tell you that the journey is so hard to try and get your foot in the door. So I failed and failed and failed and failed many times, but I never gave up, and I just kept knocking on the doors of all the radio stations in KZN. Eventually, I got my break after I had won Miss India South Africa. So there, I had a platform, and then I was
Yeah.
like, hey,
It's me. Hello.
by the way, I'll send you an entry. So then, they asked me to come train.
Yeah.
So I still didn't have a slot. And then when the DJ had an accident, a graveyard DJ had an accident. So they're like, you've been shadowing, so now you can come in and this is your slot. The most exhilarating first 3 hours of live radio I've ever experienced in my life. My whole body was vibrating at like an enormous frequency of love for that passion.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's actually quite amazing. But you know, it's interesting you mentioned that it was actually difficult for you to get into radio even when you were in fact properly qualified.
Yes.
You know, what would the reasons that they would advance at that time? And I'm trying to help someone out there because we know the unemployment rate currently,
Yes.
especially for youth.
Yes. I think it's they were full.
Okay.
They weren't training.
Yeah.
They didn't want to train me at the time. So it's because I pushed so hard and I had to make a demo and then I had to spend money making a demo. I mean, that was so hard to do since like
Those
you're
days, yeah.
green. And I remember I was doing adverts for beers. I'm like, it's dry, but you can drink it. And compiling all those things.
We're not mentioning the brand, of course.
And then knocking and dropping them to people because you had to make copies.
Yeah.
I have one. I had a master.
Yeah,
I had a master,
yeah.
and I just kept making copies and sent. Like, and remember those discs were 12 Rand 50.
Yes.
So this was me. Envelope, like dropping them off, posting them, following up with a call. Did you get my? You know. So it was. I was very persistent. I'm
The
your worst nightmare when I want
tenacity.
something.
I think that because I don't think that the youth of today actually understand how difficult it was
No.
back then to actually even be able
be
to
there.
get into those kind of spaces.
Yes.
The amount of work that you have to put in because they like, you know, things to happen quickly, you know,
Get it.
the whole thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's actually, it didn't used to be like that. It does require a lot of tenacity, you know, to be
Yes.
able to actually even
Be
get
there.
your first breakthrough.
Yes.
All right, then graveyard shift, and then
So after I think a year of graveyard, I moved to morning breakfast.
wow.
So I was like, oh my God, I'm a
From
big girl now.
graveyard to morning.
Weekend breakfast.
Oh,
It
weekend.
wasn't,
But
it was
still,
still, it's a
still.
big deal. So
Yeah.
I was like, but I always got called in and said, okay, you need to do this. You need to stop saying, and you need, so I was like, you know, so every day was like a learning experience. And I took those notes very seriously. And then eventually I got in an evening slot, Monday to Friday. And while I was doing radio, I still had to make money. So Monday to Friday, I was the regional PR for a hotel group in KZN, a big one. So I was in charge of 12 hotels. I was running around making sure our hotels were in the paper, like then trying to be Miss India on the weekends and afternoons. I had my sash and the crown in the car and had shoes in the car. So I was literally like this 24/7.
Wow.
But I loved it. I loved every
Yes.
minute. And then I got a car sponsor.
Yes.
So it was good. And then eventually they were like, we need you Monday to Friday. So then I had to resign. I had to resign from something.
Of course.
And I was like, radio is always my calling.
Oh, yeah.
So I took the radio gig Monday to Friday. Still tried to keep the hotel thing going.
Yeah.
And then eventually I got poached by another company to come work at a casino.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they were very amenable to do evening radio
Yes.
and help me and work in the day. So I kind of kept those balls in the air, which was great. And I tried to make up time on the weekends. Also great. I loved being a PR person. I loved writing those press releases, making sure I contacted the person, the editors. How are you? I had to send them fruit baskets. Are you well taken care of? I had to visit them to make sure they were all happy with all our hotel brands.
Yes.
Oh, you need accommodation? Yes, I'm going to get on it. Which day? So, I mean, I was multitasking.
Yes, but I think it's something that comes naturally to you. You come across as someone who is like a big connector.
And I'm OCD organized.
Hey!
I mean, I got here early for my
Ladies and gentlemen, I've just done 3 events for her. So, yes.
No. And please, guys, can I just say it's my husband who arrives late. I am always early. I am always
I didn't say
on
anything.
time. I'm just putting it out
Just
there.
putting it out there. Just putting it out there. All right, then fast forward acting.
Yes. So while I was here in Durban, Sarah Esser gave me my first break on TV.
Yes.
But before that, I was doing a small Nyana Nyana part for Big Brand Bonanza.
Oh, yeah.
SABC.
Yeah, yes.
3.
Oh my goodness, I think I remember
don't even remember
that.
what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
no, I do.
And I'm like, if you call now, you could win 1,000 rand plus this whatever packaging I had to give away.
Yes.
So I did that like on another day, and then I had to make up those hours for that one day where we shot. And give it back to the hotel group. So while I was there, I got a call to Eastern Mosaic. And then I was like, okay, now this is where I want to be. And then I started presenting, and I love presenting.
Yeah.
And then I started getting call outs. I had to get an agent.
Of course.
I was told I need to get an
Now
agent.
I'm a brand now.
So I was like, so there was one guy in Durban at the time. I think his name was Greg Faulkner. They say, don't quote me on that, but like I know his name was Greg.
Yes.
And I'm like, please, can you represent me? So he started casting me.
Yeah.
I was casted for small roles.
Yes.
And like adverts. And I went to a lot of those, and I didn't make half of them.
You've got to be kidding me.
No, so I had lots of cattle calls. Okay, no, you're not right for us. No. I know I did.
And how did you take that rejection?
I think I was okay with it because in my mind I was like, I can't get everything,
Okay.
but I'm going to get something.
All right.
So in the middle of the 100, I would maybe get 4.
Wow.
And I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Because
Okay.
also it's about the demographic that you are. You know, it's hard.
I'm with you.
So you're not always going to get that part because they're not looking for that demographic, you know. So also like even going for that 100, I was already reduced to maybe 20 of the 100.
Yeah.
So, but that was a chance I was willing to take.
Yeah.
And eventually got a call from a Joburg station, Highveld.
Yes.
They were like, this is after I managed to get to Weekend Breakfast.
Okay.
And then off Weekend Breakfast to Breakfast. So
It's
I went
amazing.
from Weekend Breakfast to my own talk show, Monday to Friday on East Coast Radio.
Yeah.
And then eventually Weekend Breakfast.
Yeah.
I mean, a week-long breakfast, Monday to Friday. So that was my big break.
Yeah.
I loved that show.
Wow.
And I learned a lot from Alan Khan.
Yes.
He was instrumental in getting me out of my shell.
Beautiful soul,
Yes.
that one, yeah?
I owe him a lot because he kind of mentored me through it.
Yes.
And then I was sad when I left him to go to Highveld. And he's like,
Yeah.
are you breaking up the team?
Was it something that you had planned to actually go to Johannesburg?
I never planned to go to Johannesburg, but I knew I wanted more. And TV wasn't happening for me in Durban.
Yeah.
And also, I reached my ceiling, which is the best radio station at the time.
Yeah.
And where was I going to go? What was going to happen to me? Yeah. So rather move in my tenure there while I was a fresh face, and take that position at not the week long thing, but I took a lunchtime slot, and I was poached instantly in the first 3 months by one of the TV stations to do a soapy, and then I had to leave radio, and I just got to Joburg, and I was like, oh my God, I'm making a bad name for myself.
Yeah.
But I knew in my heart, like, if I can't try a soapy now, what is the point, you know? So then I rode that wave for 3 years, and I did a whole lot of stuff and started my first company. And then eventually, second baby down, I was like, no, I need to come home. I need to be with my folks. I need to be with Viv, because Viv was traveling. He was doing the travel. And then I'm like, okay, let me come home.
Okay, now that you have brought him into the picture, tell us about that. I remember we were in one of, I think it was Starlight Pop Opera thing, when it was still
God,
there.
you remember that?
And we were, sitting together with, because I've always been in the space of older people myself, and I think you were one of the MCs that evening, and the excitement when you got into stage, and everybody was like, hey, Viv. I'm like, what's happening here? Because sometimes I take a while to catch up.
Oh my God, you didn't know, Zots? No. So, yes, I think at that time we were trying very hard to keep our relationship under wraps, because there's a lot we were internalizing with our own families. To get them comfortable with it before we decided, let's just go be a couple. So I think we were very conservative with just being an open couple. But unfortunately, Durban is small. So no matter how hard we tried to keep it tight, there lots of people were already talking. So I think it was just a matter of time. But I enjoyed the quiet while it lasted.
You enjoyed the quiet while it lasted. Okay, and then when everything came out into the open,
I think
how did that pan out?
It was very hard.
Yeah.
See, it was so hard because people have to judge.
Always.
And I mean, you've been in some boats that I've been in. So you know that I'm now the second wife. I'm getting out there, and oh my goodness, there's an age gap, and why is she in this relationship with our friend? So it was, is she authentic? Does she really love him? Was one of the questions.
Always.
What does she want from him?
Gold digger.
Gold digger. So I think for me, it's like to maneuver now, not being the sweetheart of the radio and TV industry anymore because of Viv or because of the relationship I am having with this guy. It was, it thrust me into waking up, growing up very quickly and realizing, okay, those are going to now not be my friends and these are going to be my friends. Those decisions were made for me.
And they're difficult, decisions,
So... so it was a very difficult time for Viv and I, because we had to maneuver through many people's judgments of us and still keep it close inside for us, to keep our, whatever we grew together.
What kept you grounded and at the time?
I think just knowing that, I authentically loved him for him. Kept me grounded, knowing that once all this passed, we will still be here. We will still be on this journey together. So, and also my deep-seated spirituality. I think for me, that has followed me all through my life. And knowing that I have someone looking out for me always, other than my mom, my dad, my family, my husband. It's like I know that I'm going to be safe. And more these days, through all the turmoil, I still have that. It's the light is even brighter than before. To say you are grounded, I am here. Don't ever feel I've left you at any time in your journey. I think for me that was very important.
Tell us about that spiritual journey.
I think it started when my second brother passed away. When my first brother passed away as a matric. and he was shot in an armed robbery. And he was my two brothers were very close in age. And my sister-in-law, my second brother was married. My first wasn't when he passed. When my second brother passed, I was in the middle of a very high career evolution, and so it was all about myself, and Sorisha's brand. And,
creating the brand.
Yes, creating
Nothing
the
wrong
brand,
with that.
the love, and I remember I was judging a Miss Teen South Africa, and there was a prelim judging, and then I got the call from my sister-in-law to say, your brother is not moving, you got to come now. I remember this so clearly. I had just foundation. Do you know how scary you look with just foundation on? I had just foundation on. I'm like, I can't do this. I have to leave. I got into my car. I raced over from Umhlanga to Kloof. And when I got there, we could not revive him. We were calling the ambulance. It was very surreal. Like I'm actually, with someone who has passed. Like to see, like I think it was the first body, and for me it was my brother. So I'm trying, and she's trying, and and then we called, and then he was pronounced late, and instantly I grew up, because now I'm like, we have to phone this person. I shelved my feelings because he's got kids, his little kids. So my sister-in-law and I we're going to do this. We're sitting in the room, we're planning, and we processed the funeral, we processed the memorial, and I remember I was sitting with her. I just had a baby. My second was like a few months old. She was in a cot down the hall from me, and I was talking to my sister-in-law very late at night, and we have a very deep relationship. My sister-in-law has become, even after my brother's death, even closer to us.
More of a sister.
Yes. Yeah. So she is a sister in the family, and she is still a huge part of this family. People they don't understand, like how could she, but she is, and her kids are everything to us. So I was sitting in my study, and I was looking down this passageway. It was midnight. We were chatting, and the baby monitor was on my desk. And I'm like, no, and I think we were trying to appease each other and talk each other through something. And then my brother's picture just flashed on the monitor. And I remember thinking, what happened? For a minute, I was like, am I dreaming? What's happening? I said, again, this is what happened right now. And she was not shocked in a sense. And I said, I don't know what's going on here. But then we put the phone down, and I could hear my daughter talking. So I walked down into the room, and she's standing up in her cot, few months old, pulled herself up, and she's having a fat chat with someone.
Wow.
And I thought, oh my God, what's going on here? So now, obviously, fear gripped me. I grabbed her, and I'm running down the whole passageway to go to my room, because I don't want to be alone right now. And then the softest of breath surrounded me.
Wow.
And for a minute I was like, no, I don't know what's going on, right? But obviously I knew it was my brother.
Wow.
I instantly knew, but I don't know if I wasn't ready at that time. So anyway, I went to bed, and then the next day I chatted to everybody, and I said, this is what happened. And then the search began. Life, death, all of this. I started reading, the family. We started reading. We started connecting. Okay, and this is, the plan for the universe. This is the plan for souls. This is what we should be doing on this journey. So that spiritual started there. That spiritual journey really cemented there. Yes, that was always spiritual, and I always needed to know. But there the journey started, and the thirst for books, and the thirst to read about our maker, savior, our connections with humans, and all of that started right there.
Wow, that's an amazing story. And of course, shout out to our sister and the kids there. So beautiful when families can get along like that, because I think families are the foundation of our communities. And if we can't get it right on the family front, we're not going to be able to get it right in our communities and our azania that we are all striving for perfection. We're not going to be able to get there. So it's important for families to always hold one another Always, always, always.
True.
All right. So now let's come back to your spiritual practices. I remember we were having a chat the other day and you're like, I wake up at 4 and I do my prayers and then I cook. I'm like, yeah.
So see, I remember, and no disrespect to anyone, right?
Yes.
I remember always watching people rush in the morning. And I said, when I have kids, I'm not going to have a rushed household. So for me, I want to start slow. I want to appreciate the morning.
Yeah.
So I will wake up, I will do all my things. I will go and light my lamp. I will take time to listen to either a sermon or a mantra or something to get me in the zone, because it's so quiet. It's the best time.
Yes.
Then I will prepare lunches and see to my dogs, and then I will watch the sunrise, because that's the only time I can watch it, because it's safe for your eyes. So I will get that pineal gland activation in the morning, or if I miss it in the morning, I'll do it in the afternoon while the sun is setting. So that for me is, then I wake my kids up at around 5:30. I get them going, because I want it to be luxurious. And I don't want to say, where's my uniform? I'm making lunches, get it yourself. I don't like that. And I don't want to be in that, I feel like it should be a seamless process. And that's how the morning starts for me. So everything is done, everything is ready, the kids come down, they have their breakfast, we chat. Okay, so what's happening today? What time is your pickup? And are you going to have soccer? Are you going to dance? So it's a nice catch up, because I'm not seeing them for the next 8 hours. So anything you need, what's happening for later. So we do that over breakfast. And then I drive them to school, and that's when I never get to play. The car radio is off limits for me since they were 9. So I've never been able to play a song, because it's Monday's Cal, Tuesday's Psy, Wednesday's Cal, Friday is Psy, and Friday, the one day that should be for me on the radio, is for both of them to swap out music. So also, it also helps me understand what they're listening to, and do we resonate.
Okay.
So when my daughter was young, she listened to a lot of K-pop.
Okay.
And a lot of Korean music.
Okay.
And
that's interesting.
So I tried to gauge, and be involved. I did not even get it, but I was trying.
You tried?
Yes. My son had the stuff that I was into, your Full Ferron and Galaxy. He's a very old school person. He's a Patsy Cline. He's your Righteous Brothers. He's your Kool and the Gang. That's his playlist. I don't know how. Don't ask me. But he's heavily influenced with that genre of music. So we could connect. And then all of a sudden, my daughter, in the last 2 years, something changed. We went away for my birthday. My sister-in-law, my nephews, my nieces, they said, this is R&B.
Yeah. Wow. Take it slower.
Yes. So we had a whole weekend of R&B.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was me. We had a whole weekend of R&B, and then suddenly I listen to a lot of R&B now in my car. So I'm having the best of both worlds with my kids.
That's amazing.
Coming back to spirituality, it's I like to start my morning where my soul's at peace, and I'm an overachiever. So in terms of I need to get everything out the way so I can prepare for my day. So so when I need to do yoga, I will get up at 3:30 so that I can do my 5:30 yoga and come back and take my kids to school. So, yoga is deeply meditative.
So, I just want to pick up on that part of being an overachiever. And I'm just curious to know, how do two overachievers make it work?
You know what, your guess is as good as mine.
Because I do know that Viv is also an overachiever.
Overachiever.
Yeah.
And I think this is why we're so compatible.
Okay.
Because I went through, in the last 2 weeks, I've been spring cleaning. So I went through every room and pulled out stuff that I know no one's going to use. And then I package it and I see who needs these things, and then I disperse of it. And Viv said to me, oh my goodness, every room is looking immaculate. And and he loves that as well.
Yeah.
He won't do it, but he loves it, which I understand. He's busy.
Yes.
But we're both we both want the same things.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we're so good together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, he knows that in the morning when he comes downstairs, he's going to have a freshly squeezed juice, his freshly squeezed lemon juice and olive with cayenne pepper.
Okay.
And then he's going to go into his oats. And, you know,
everything is structured.
Yes. And it's like the consistency. So you can't get out of your routine. So you know that, yes, I've done all of this in the morning, so now I can go about my day.
Yeah.
Like, because sometimes I say to myself, and this is where I know I'm fooling myself. I'll say, oh my goodness, I can't make this yoga class this morning, so I'm going to do the 12 o'clock. That 12 o'clock never happens for me. A midday class. So every time I plan a midday class. So
this is why you have to do it in the morning.
The universe is saying, yeah, right. So I know it's never going to happen. So this is why I'm like, if I'm going to get my 3 days of exercise in the week, it's going to be this time, this time, this time. So nothing can stop me. No child, no husband, because you are sleeping. So that's my time. All
right, now let's talk about balance, because now you have teenage kids, you have a husband, you have businesses, and then there is the Real Housewives. And how do we do all these things? Because you're always still coming up, just smiling and happy to see all of us. How do you do that?
I wish I could take credit, Zodwa, but I have an amazing team of people.
All right.
And that's not possible without them.
Yeah.
So I can wake up as early as possible, but I have people in my life who I could say, guys, this is what's happening today. Please, I need A, B, and C done. Those things are going to get checked off. So if I need somebody to go and do this for me while I'm doing that, I maximize our time so that we're not burnt out.
Yeah.
Because there are many times I remember back in my heyday of the 20s and 30s, you had all that energy. You know, you could do all those things. You could multitask. You could sleep for 3 hours and wake up and still look fresh.
Yeah.
That's not happening anymore. You can see when you haven't slept back here in the 40s, like late 40s now. But you have to understand that you can't do everything.
Yes.
And for me, I was that person who would just do everything. Like, I would plan a birthday party for my kids. I would send the invitations. I would make the decorations. I would do all the food. I would do the toothpicks. I would, I would hammer in all the things that I needed. I would, night before, we'd be, like, the team of family would be putting, like, marshmallow cones, and I'm like, no. Guys.
Yeah, that's what happens when you have OCD.
So now I'm like, you have to let go. This is my fault.
Yeah.
I could not let go. I wanted to be on top of everything. So now I'm like, no, stop being that person.
Yes.
There are qualified people who can assist you. They work for you there in your offices. Delegate. Yes.
Delegate is a big word, and I know some people honestly really struggle with the delegating.
My husband.
You don't I don't want to get to that. But delegating, I think, is key, because we don't want to burn out. All right, now let's come back to the Real Housewives of Durban. Yeah, what's the story there? How did you decide that I'm going to do this?
So many years ago, before the Real Housewives of Durban, I was approached to do the Real Housewives of Johannesburg.
Ah, okay.
So it started there, and then that didn't happen. So whilst we were in production, they changed it to the Real Divas of Josie. Or Divas of Josie.
Yay.
And I was like,
Divalicious D.
Guys, I signed up for this. You can't just change it. And then they were like, take it or leave it.
Okay.
So we just finished that production, and then I just thought, I was between Joburg and Durban then. So I was like, no, I'm never going to do this. I was like, I was away from home and, away from my kids. They're young. So, but I enjoyed the experience. And then I was approached for Real Housewives of Durban many years later. Many years later, which was so crazy. And I think I was more settled. And it was during COVID. I remember getting a text just saying, hi, we'd love for you to send us just a little video of you and your home, like introduce us to your family, your dogs, your favorite places in your home. So I was like, okay, I'll just do it, because I'm like, there's so many housewives in Durban, like I'll just do it for the sake of it. So I did it, and I just submitted, and they called me back a few weeks later to say, we've shortlisted you. So all this time I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
And then eventually they were like, you are on the final list.
Wow.
So I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So all the time like asking, and then I think we had to have a workshop together.
Yeah.
So we had a workshop about this is what the show entails, and and I'm like, will you promote my businesses? And they were like, yes, we will touch on your lives and your experiences and you as a woman, as a businesswoman. So I think initially for me it was like two birds, one stone.
Yes.
I get to know other women in the same kind of, standing as me, and, we can interact and we can grow.
Yeah.
And that's how the journey started.
Wow. All right. So you've had 3.
Yes.
And what has been the most exciting moment out of the 3?
I think finding my voice.
Okay.
I think for me that's the most important thing, and actually being okay. And I say this with love. It's okay to fight or argue with someone, not physically, but it's actually, I realized in season 3, it's okay to have an argument. It's okay for not everyone to like you.
Of course.
And I think that was always my trajectory. I want to be kind to everyone. I want to love everyone. I want everyone to be nurtured. I want everyone to be comfortable. And then Sorisha can just be there. So then in season 3, I was like, no.
Yeah, Sorisha, the real diva, must come out.
Speak, sister.
All right. Yeah, okay.
So I think for me, season 3 was like, I'm so comfortable with everyone now.
Yeah.
And guys, we're all grown-ups here, so let's have our own opinions now.
Let's be real with one another. Yeah.
And shame, it wasn't taken well.
Yeah.
But I was actually okay with that as well.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes, because I think the authentic Sorisha is the one that we would want to see. All right, those friendships, are they real?
Well, Annie and I are very, very strong.
Okay.
Slee and I are very, very strong.
Okay.
Nonko and I are starting to talk again.
All right.
Jojo and I are starting to talk again.
Okay.
So, yeah, very real connections. I mean, I spoke to Slee yesterday.
All right.
Annie was at my home 2 weeks ago. We went and watched a movie together. So the relationships on there are very real.
Yeah. But I suppose you have to just allow space for it to happen and be organic. Like you can't force it.
Yes.
Yeah.
If I resonate with you, I'm going to be in touch with you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So for me, that was important.
Okay. How much of it is real and how much of it is scripted?
I get asked that question. That is the $1 million. Like everyone asks me that question.
Yes.
So, and I'm going to say it again.
Yeah.
Is that it's not scripted.
Yeah.
Like we don't arrive on the scene.
Yeah.
And there's a paper.
Yeah.
That says, Sorisha, you are going to say this. So what happens is, Zanele, suppose you and I shot a scene the day before on Real Housewives in a big group, and you and I had an altercation.
Yeah.
They're going to come to me that evening and they're going to say, I see you and Zanele had a bit of a trip. Do you guys want to work it out tomorrow? So I have the permission slip to say, yes, I want to actually chat with her one-on-one. And then they have to ask you, would you like to iron this out with Sorisha? So if that's happening, that's our next scene together.
Ah, right.
So there has to be some format.
Some form of, okay.
Or you're just going to see us just quiet for the whole 1 hour episode. And just like it's going to be like a ZTV episode.
Yeah.
With music.
Yes,
yes. So I'm just saying so they give, and then the director will come to you, and they have to get you entering and exiting, right?
Yeah.
So
yes.
that's the only kind of format they will put you in, because they can't just have a wobbly camera. Can you imagine?
Yeah,
now?
no,
like trying to follow Sorisha.
Yeah.
So, but also they say to you, before you sit in and you meet with Zanele, are you happy to cover A, B, and C of yesterday? And you'll say, yes, I'm going to cover this, and this. So they give you a beat, and they say, we would like to pick up on this. Would you like to pick up on it? So it's free will, but not free will. But still, it's
sort of structured free will.
It's structured free will. There we go.
All right. What gives you peace?
My yoga.
All right.
I would say chocolate 5 years ago, but I've recently given up chocolate, so I would say dark chocolate.
Okay.
My dogs, my family.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, wow. That's amazing. Yoga, dogs, family. Just give me a snippet of the South Africa that you would love your children to still be comfortable to grow up in. I mean, they are teenagers now, so they still have, you know, like a few years to go. You know, we want them here in South Africa.
Yes.
How should it look like?
I had thoughts the other day. It's so weird you're asking me this question because I said, you know, South Africa is one of the most beautiful countries you could ever live in. And Viv and I have traveled the world and we love coming home because we know what we have here. We have our sun, we have beautiful skies, but we don't have enough in terms of what everyone should be doing in terms of a plan. Post 1994, the rollout has been unbearable. I have lost hope. I've lost great dreams that I've had in 1994 when I saw Mama Winnie and Tata walk out. You know, the dream has really faded in my mind's eye. So for me, I want us to understand that, like, all Indian parents should know this, not every child can be a doctor and a lawyer. And South Africa as a skill.
I'm not going to repeat that.
But what we've done incorrectly as parents, we have given our kids the glamorization of certain occupations, and we have de-glamorized other occupations, which are very, very important in terms of skill set. How expensive is a plumber now?
Please, let's not even go there.
Thank you. But plumbers are far and few between. So if South Africa could appreciate that we need more skill, and we need to understand that your house is not going to look as amazing if you don't have a good plumber. Like, it's things like that which we need to re-establish in people's minds. We need to rebrand educational skill set. So not everybody gets educated and leaves us. We don't have this big brain drain of our beautiful youth being educated in some of the best universities in the country, and then someone else is benefiting from all the hard work that we've put in as parents, as leaders, as role models. So for me, I would want that. I would want my kids to have other avenues of jobs. I want jobs to open up. I want healing to be amazing. We were just chatting about this just before we got into this room. Healers are going to be a big deal in the next 7 years. Tattoo artists that are spiritual are going to be a big deal in the next 7 years. People who are able to source food and cultivate it without pesticides are going to be big deals. So Zanele, when we walk down a grocery store, we are bombarded by dozens and dozens of beautifully packaged sweet treats. And there's so much crap in those sweet treats. But bananas and strawberries and blueberries and raw milk, unpasteurized milk, is the real deal of the future. So I am hoping that us as South Africans can lead Africa into a more wholesome, organic vibe. That's where I want to see us. That's where I want my kids to be. My kids.
A part of me wants to say, Professor Mama, go deeper. We are going for a wholesome South Africa. We are wanting to go for a wholesome Azania, and this is indeed very, very true. Well captured, indeed. I know that a bigger part of you also is being a philanthropist. You know, what inspires you to want to do more for communities?
I think I've always done small things in my own capacity, but after meeting Viv, it's like you're on steroids with giving back. It's like you can't stop him. You know, he wants to just give, and I think, like, I, as a company on my own, want to do more because he's doing so much. So I think he's been a really good role model in wanting to say it's just not about making the money, but it's about giving back. And not giving back just with finance, but giving your time, giving your effort, giving your ideas, giving your hope. Like, all of that is so important. I think people don't understand that it's not just about a monetary donation.
Yeah.
It's the whole package.
It's the whole package. It's not just the monetary donation. It's the whole package. You can also, donate with your skills. A message for young women in South Africa in 2023, as we are currently in Women's Month.
I think I would leave them with a message of hope and hope for yourself. I think you can't love anyone unless you start loving yourself. I don't think you have the propensity to love anyone unless you have love for yourself. And a lot of the times we fail to give us as women, we open our heart chakra and we are out there and we're giving love to Zanele and to her husband and we forget, hey, just save some for yourself, because that well keeps running dry and we keep forgetting to top it up. So don't forget to top up your well and harness some for yourself so you can always shine and be the best version of yourself.
It's important to love yourself first, because then it becomes easier to love your neighbor. So said the ancient book. Okay, tell us a little bit about your business. I just happened to have enjoyed an amazing time on Sunday.
Thank you for coming. That invite went out months ago, can I just say, and she
just for the record
only rocked up recently. So I have an import-export company called SSBO, and SSBO has a spiritual significance to me. And from there, I developed a clinic, an aesthetic clinic and spa. And I'm most recently excited about a new venture that I'm starting later in the year.
Okay.
And I think this is the first time I'm speaking about it.
All right.
So it's a system of frequency called the Energy Enhancement System.
All right.
There are over 1,000 clinics all over the world.
Yeah.
I'm getting the first one in KZN.
Oh, wow.
So it's scalar wave frequencies, which when you sit in it, it brings all your cells up to a millivolt of between 70 and 90, which is optimal health.
Okay.
So it's able to heal you of many, many things. And there's lots of medical documentation and trials that have been done. Yeah. So it's a natural way to do the things without taking medication or going under the knife. So it's a brand new energy system. Tony Robbins has the commercial one in his home. There are many, many Hollywood stars using it but have not spoken about it. So it's for ADHD, it's for learning disabilities, it's for cancer. I'm saying it mildly, but it's very intense. And I cannot wait to bring this and share it. There are 4 other clinics coming in Cape Town and Joburg. So I think we've covered the big cities. Other people are bringing those machines in. So I really love that we're going to have a big cosmopolitan feel to this, a new way to heal.
Wow. Healing is your potion.
It is, because we just spoke about it.
Healing is your potion. What did I say about healing? All right, but I mean the current business is where can we find it?
Oh, we're at Oceans Mall, as you well know.
Yeah.
And you have been, and you still have another ticket available, which you must please use before the year is up. Yes, but you can find us at Oceans Mall in Umhlanga. That's the Umhlanga Laser and Aesthetic Clinic.
Okay, your social media handles?
Sorisha Naidoo, only on Instagram.
All right, Sorisha Naidoo.
Sanele, I don't sell any Forex or crypto. Just saying. And I don't have a Facebook account that will ask you to give anyone money, including myself. I think that's very important.
It is.
I get hundreds of these every week saying, I just gave you money. When am I? I'm like... Guys, please.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, her name is Sorisha Naidoo. She's not on Facebook. She only has an Instagram account. So please, don't get, confused by people out there. It's been an absolute pleasure and honor to have you. You are indeed a special soul. I think you need to always be aware of that. Igama lami Zodwa Msimang, KaNsibande. God bless Azania. God bless Africa. We love you. Women, it's your time.